Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Hashtag Sports, your premier YouTube Bills station. Wow, that sounded so cocky. Anyway, uh, for those just right out of the gate before I get into any of the pleasantries with everything, if you happen to watch the stream on Tuesday, all the way to the end, you got a nice little treat that I didn't. I forgot to stop the stream and listen to a little bit of behind the scenes stuff from Paul and I. So it was actually kind of it was humorous when I listened back to it, but I had to re-edit it and do that. And Paul's shaking his head, of course. I don't wear UGG boots. No. Anyway, uh, so yeah, like I said, we're gonna give you the Buffalo Bills versus the Tennessee Titans preview tonight. We are actually simulcasting on Sportscaster as well. If you want to catch us over there. Um, if you want to give us a follow, up right above my phone, you can see our Twitter handle at HTagSports, and above Paul's phone, you can see our subscribe. If it's your first time here, please hit that subscribe button to follow for all Buffalo Bills news. Um, Paul, right out of the gate, a lot of stuff happening with the Buffalo Bills. Who's practicing, who's not. Allen in protocol. Zay Jones, people calling for his head. Connor McDermott was cut today, and no one was, as of right now, for 10 o'clock at night on October 3rd, nobody has been brought up. A lot of people suspect it's going to be Davis Webb, and or a lot of people want Duke Williams, but I just want to say this, and I said it on the stream on Tuesday, and I firmly believe this. Uh, the Buffalo Bills were asking Zay Jones to fill Robert Foster's shoes during the game against the Patriots.
Right.
And if you do that, he doesn't have that skill set of Robert Foster to do that, which is why I think he looked so bad. Now, that being said, um, now this is just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I mean, I've been wrong a bunch of times. I don't think that Duke Williams can fill Robert Foster's shoes in the type of player and type of things he's asked to do, which is why I don't think it would be a good idea. And I'm going to get a lot of hate mail on this, I know it, but I don't think bringing Duke Williams up because Zay played poorly would be the deal. If you want him as a red zone target, that's fine. I understand that, but if Robert Foster's not playing, you're going to ask Duke Williams to step into that role. I don't think he has the skill set to do it.
Right. No, I a billion percent agree with you there. But I think it's also fair to take a look at the injury report for the week. And Robert Foster was a full participant the last 2 days at practice. So he looks to be a go coming back from that groin injury. No other wide receivers Cole Beasley was listed on the injury report with an ankle, but he's been a full participant. There's no other wide receivers who look banged up right now, or at least appearing currently on the injury report. So a couple things could be happening here, right? One is you free up a roster space. That's fine, right? So you got a roster space open. Beautiful. Great. You could use that for Davis Webb if Allen is still in concussion protocol. If you're still dicey on the situation as to whether he's going to be able to play or not, you're certainly welcome to do that. They are still a little thin at running back, so Devin Singletary is still a limited participant at practice with a hamstring injury. If they are a little concerned about the running back position, this could be an opportunity to sign somebody like Marcus Murphy or bring somebody up from the practice squad at the running back position. So let's not just immediately assume that, this has anything to do with the wide receiver position, because that could be it. And if they had any room to give, it was on the offensive line, right? So, I mean, that's kind of where you are. Or everybody's been talking about Stefon Diggs. I'm just saying, got to have a roster spot free to get him. Not that that would happen, because normally the roster move would correspond with the trade. Usually this means a practice squad signing or a free agent signing. But there's a few different ways that this could go, man. I don't know which way it's going to go yet. The running back room with Singletary still being on the mend as a limited participant the last 2 days, that makes a bit of sense. And Allen concussion protocol, getting another quarterback in the building, whether that be Davis Webb from the practice squad or just another body, that makes a bit of sense too. So I'm not sure which way this can go. What do you honestly think, Mark?
I was actually amused by the whole Diggs talk. I thought it was actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
I think you bring up a great sleeper pick in Murphy. If Singletary is not a go, I think you need another quarterback, though. I think that's the pressing issue that's going on with the concussion protocol the way it is in the NFL, and only having Barkley for the Titans game. You run into a little bit of trouble there. You can't just go in with him. And if something happens to him, then what are you going to do? You're going to put Gore back there. You put McKenzie back there. I mean, who's going to be your quarterback here?
Right.
So I think
Dawson
that
Knox, baby. Dawson Knox.
Dawson Knox can do it, but then you don't have a tight end. So and for those of you that watch the stream on Tuesday, yes, I did quickly realize after it was said to me in the chat that Dawson Knox was a third rounder, not a seventh. I confuse him and Sweeney all the time. I'm sure a lot of you guys in Hashtag Nation confuse Paul and I all the time when you see us out.
Unforgivable.
Yep.
Unforgivable.
You confuse us when you see us out, because Paul's a physical specimen.
That's it.
It's what genetic perfection looks like if if you want to go there. So previewing. I mean, yeah, a lot of those things that you have are very interesting scenarios in where the Buffalo Bills could go with this extra roster spot. I've never seen so much. So many things go on with just one player, and a lot of people were very upset with Zay Jones, and that's fine. But I just think the Buffalo Bills were asking him to do something that he's not comfortable doing and playing Robert Foster's role. And when you saw the snap count breakdown, it seemed that way. It seemed like, okay, we need a receiver for this position, and Zay's here. So let's do it with him. I don't know what was up with McKenzie only having one play. So it's a lot of things intertwined there, Paul. There's a lot of things there. I don't unnecessarily just blame Zay. I don't think it was his fault. I don't think he has the skill set to play Robert Foster role in this offense. I just don't think he does.
No, I'm with you there.
Yeah. So
I don't think very highly of Zay at this point either. I think he's an easy scapegoat for a lot of people.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I really think he is. One of the things that he brings that isn't really being utilized a whole lot is he's actually developed into a pretty strong run blocker. And that kept Hines Ward's career going for quite a long time, but eventually Hines Ward turned into, one of the best possession receivers of his generation. But the truth was that Hines Ward got on the field because he could run block. I don't think Zay is in that category.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, I know we're pining for Duke Williams, or a lot of people are pining for Duke Williams. I don't know if he's the answer either.
No, I really don't, because you'd be asking him to do that role, and that's not a role that's tailored to Duke Williams' strength. And he does have a tremendous skill set in what he's able to do. He high points a ball. He's a big body guy. I mean, that's one of those things that you have with the tight end position that it doesn't seem that you're utilizing on this team very much. So,
right.
I mean, I can't. I'm going to butcher his last name, but I just saw the tweet right before we went live. It was Sal Mariana. Is that his name? I can't.
Yeah, he's from the Democrat and Chronicle.
Yeah. He sent out a tweet, very interesting. He said he hopes Cody Ford pans out because he really wanted to have DK Metcalf in that spot where they took Ford, and he couldn't believe Metcalf dropped so much. And then he said, well, it'd be great to have Metcalf right now on this team. And I think when you start talking about different offenses around the league, I mean, Russell Wilson was 10 for 13 in the first half of this game, and he's always been a very, very accurate quarterback and putting the ball only where his receiver can get it. I think that it's a little unfair to make that statement right now. I do agree with him. I want Ford to pan out, but I think he's just being a prisoner of the moment right now. I think that's all it is right now.
Yeah, I feel that. Our buddy Cam Boone in the chat saying that the pass from Barkley to Zay wasn't really all that catchable, but does state that Duke would probably be a better red zone threat than Zay Jones.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable point. But again, you also have two tight ends on this team who should be relatively decent red zone threats between Sweeney and Knox, and Knox to me isn't getting nearly enough looks on offense compared to the production when given the opportunity. I'm really excited to see what they have in store for him, because the linebacker group for Tennessee, I think, could be exposed a little bit from a pass coverage perspective. But If you want to get to talking about Tennessee, let's do it, man. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, and I want to tell you right now, who we talked about all the time is when receivers first come into the league, there's always a steep learning curve, and some of those guys don't really pan out right away.
Right.
A.J. Brown being a guy that looks like he's panning out. However, the learning curve could be just as steep for a tight end because they have multiple roles to fill as well. So they're probably just bringing Knox along, relatively slow to, let his athleticism show, but they're not giving him too much on his plate, and I understand that completely. But it's funny you mentioned the pass game because Daniel Gary's going to laugh because I got some interesting numbers here. Okay, it's just statistics, whatever we got. Again. So, we're talking about now, Paul. I have to ask you this, and I'll ask even hashtag Nation this. We always used to call, jokingly, we used to call the Houston Texans, Patriots South. What are the Tennessee Titans then?
Yep, Bills South, right?
Well, no, they were, but not. They got Vrabel.
They got for a little bit. Yeah. I get where you're going with that.
Yeah, they're like the Patriots Mid-South, whatever, like the old wrestling territories. That's
where all Bills defensive players would go after they left the Bills. They'd find their way down to Tennessee.
Seriously. Yeah, okay. Butler and Ryan. Okay, Malcolm Butler and Logan Ryan, the two starting cornerbacks for the Tennessee Titans, is very interesting. They're fourth in the league in giving up points and 15.5 points a game, which is very interesting when you look at these stats. Butler and Ryan combined are giving up. They've been thrown on 56 times and 38 passes have been completed for 68%. Mm-hmm. When you add in Kenny Vaccaro, who's a safety, that number jumps to 72% completion percentage by quarterbacks against that. Three guys in that secondary. It's very interesting to see that dynamic play out. So if teams are completing that percentage of passes against the Tennessee Titans, which they're only 2-2, they have 2 division losses against Jacksonville and Indianapolis. So how are they not giving up any points?
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Yeah. So I mean. Let's go back and look at their record, right, and look at the teams that they played. Yeah. So I think that's probably kind of paramount to kind of frame exactly where they are, because we saw Tennessee do this a couple of years ago, where they'd get on a run of some weaker teams and they'd put their pedal to the floor and just absolutely rolled some weaker competition. But as soon as they got to equal or greater competition, they would just curl up in a ball and die. Now, I do want to point out that Tennessee's +5 on the turnover ratio right now, so extra possessions sure help a lot.
They do. They definitely do.
That's the extra possessions help a lot. And Mariota is not a phenomenal quarterback. I do like Derrick Henry, though, and I can't believe that I said I like an Alabama running back, but the fact is I really do like Derrick Henry.
It's the end of days, Paul. It's the end of days for you.
I know. And they're averaging $119 on the ground, which is 12th in the league, right? But here's the thing. They're barely averaging 200 yards passing a game. So this is a team that's going to run the football, and that plays right into Buffalo's hands. And you would think that a team that likes to run the football as much as Tennessee does, that they'd be like really in a game control type offense where they'd have the ball for a ton of time. Average possession time, 30 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, you'd think that'd be a little bit stronger by comparison. Just as an FYI, the Bills are averaging 32.5 minutes in possession time.
Yeah, and going into the New England game, they were, I think, 5th in the league in time of possession.
Right.
Interesting enough, when you talk about Henry in this offense, I think the scheme of the offense, what the Tennessee Titans want to do is this. You talk about guys like Walker, Davis, Humphreys, and Brown, all right? Their goal on offense is to spread the defense out wide, so Henry does have a couple more holes to try to help this offensive line. An offensive line that's getting Taylor Lewan back, we need to mention that. I mean, this guy is an absolute monster. In those first 4 games against their opponents, Tennessee Titans let in 17 sacks. So I expect that number to drop with Lewan there now. I mean, you got
He's gonna play so angry.
He's gonna him and Hughes are gonna. The over under is 2.5 personal fouls.
Personal fouls. I was gonna ask what's the over under on personal fouls. I'm glad you brought it up because that's gonna be a nasty game. That's gonna be a chippy game on the left side of that line. Taylor Lewan, in my opinion, is one of the top 3 offensive linemen in the NFL. He is a phenomenal offensive lineman.
Yeah. And, going just on some stats of the offense, I'll break this down and then you give me your opinion on some of these, Paul, because I think this is very interesting thing to bring up. You talk about Derrick Henry. He's got 310 rushing yards. He's got 250 of those are after contact. So it's not that this line's just opening up holes for him. He's able to. He's a big bruising back. That's the first point is, can the Bills limit his yards after contact? That's number one, because the Bills have been very efficient on that. And the other thing is, he's rushed for 20 first downs in the first 4 games this year, which is huge. I mean, there's some teams that don't even get 20 first downs in their first 4 games. So he's rushed for those. When you talk about the combination I said before of Walker, Davis, Humphreys, and Brown, Walker has 17 receptions, 10 of those are first downs. Davis is 11 and 9. Humphreys 11 and 7. Brown 10 and 6. So these guys, what the Titans have been able to do very good very well in the first 4 games is that they're able to put themselves in very manageable first downs and keep the ball not a ton of time, like you said, only 30 minutes, but they're able to keep the ball away from their opponents. And Mariota is he's either taking sacks or he's throwing the ball away. He's not putting the ball in harm's way. The Tennessee Titans have not asked him to win one game this year. They're just asking him every game not to lose it. And that's what he's doing. He's taking care of the ball. 7 touchdowns to no interceptions is amazing. So when you look at that, and if we focus on Mariota, here's the stats that really jumped off the page to me. He's 27th in the league in completion percentage. So he's taking care of the ball, but he's still throwing it away quite a bit, and he's still not very. I think he has like 62% completion percentage right now, and his QBR puts him at 24th in the league. So I know I gave you a whole Thanksgiving plate of statistics there to go on with the Tennessee Titans, but given all that information that you have, that I've given you, just based on the stats, what do you take away from what this offense is trying to accomplish and what they could accomplish against the Buffalo Bills this Sunday?
The most important thing that I heard there was in third down efficiency. There's no tendency from a receiver standpoint.
No.
Right. The ball's getting spread out pretty evenly in third down situations, which is not a surprise that they would need to do that because, again, a run-heavy team, they kind of have to spread it out a little bit. But that was kind of like the biggest takeaway for me was that it doesn't sound like when they get to third down, like you could nickel in on Edelman, or you could, or you look for a Cooper Kupp in third down situations. It doesn't sound like Tennessee's offense has really been that way this season when you take a look at those numbers specifically.
Yeah, there's definitely a tendency. He does spread the ball around quite a bit. I'm not worried. I mean, a lot of people have said this week, you're not worried about Mariota. This is without question, and we could repeat this every stream. We really could repeat this every stream. The team that the Bills are going to play, their offense did not see a defense like the Bills. I mean, the defense, they brought it for 4 weeks straight, and they're playing at such a high level. I don't even want to hear whispers of a trap game, because this is one of those, you talk about the first 5 games for the Buffalo Bills, winnable. The Patriots, winnable. So I assume that, like you said earlier, Taylor Lewan's going to have a huge impact on this game. There may be some wrinkles that the Tennessee Titans throw at the Buffalo Bills that you haven't seen them put on tape yet, because they're going to have to. With this defense playing at the level that it is, they're going to have to do some things. The thing that I worry about is the thing I believe you worry about, and #Nation will probably worry about, is that we haven't seen too many teams do play action on the Bills because they haven't got their run game going. And that always worries me about number 49 in the middle. The guy's a monster. However, that's still one of the weaknesses in his game, is the play action pass.
Right. And that's been covered up quite a bit because the Bills have been so stout, against the run game. Even Butcher's Block, Run Boys Northeast. Tennessee will most definitely not be able to run the ball on the Bills. I totally agree with that. Henry is when he gets downfield, you can't catch him, right?
No.
You're not.
No.
You're not. But the nice thing about this linebacker group is they are hyper aggressive, right? When they find the guy with the ball, they're gonna hit him hard, So it's not just being able to get to the ball; it's being able to take down the ball carrier. I really have no fear that Derrick Henry is going to be a yards after contact monster. Now, you saw what they did against Barkley. You saw what they did against Le'Veon Bell. I really have little concern about Derrick Henry in that regard. Maybe I'm misreading that, but I really I don't anticipate Derrick Henry shoving this Bills defense around like we've seen him doing highlight reels. Everywhere else
Oh
where he's
yeah.
throwing grown men around. I don't really think we're going to see that.
Yeah, one of the things that I looked at when I was looking at the Tennessee Titans film, and they happen to utilize quite a bit. And Daniel Garies even says, he says, I don't think Mariota play action is much of a threat. I only brought that up because when I looked at the Atlanta game, they were doing that quite a bit. They were running play action crossers over the middle of Corey Davis, Brown, and they were, Mariota was I think he threw 3 touchdowns, so he was very efficient in that game with the play action, and it really opened up some things downfield for him. When you have 4 weapons like Walker, Humphreys, Davis, and Brown, they're no slouches. So you're gonna have to try to cover every inch of the field. Not that Mariota can get the ball to every inch of the field, but
Right.
you're still gonna have to get it to every inch. And Mariota's gonna be the most mobile quarterback that the Buffalo Bills have played this year. So even if they do cover those 4 guys up and they try to drop 7 in coverage, who's taking care of Mariota?
Right.
I mean, it's a question to ask. I mean, I'm just posing questions because these are things that could definitely offer holes in the Buffalo Bills defense, which is their strongest unit as of right now.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a fascinating matchup, right? Because when you look at it on paper, the Bills should be able to kind of walk through this one from a defensive side of the football, and this really shouldn't be too crazy a battle, right? It's the receivers for Tennessee. AJ Brown's really the only speed demon there. Adam Humphreys, Corey Davis, those guys are really, you know, Humphreys is your guy that will eat up zone coverage, right? He loves finding those soft spots in the zone. And Corey Davis is a physical freak, but he has to play physical, right? So
Mm-hmm.
AJ Brown's really your only speed guy. Levi Wallace will be fine on AJ Brown all day. I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah.
Adam Humphreys is a little bit of a tougher matchup in the slot. Um, because Adam Humphreys. I remember last year when he was in Tampa, I watched a couple games for the Buccaneers, and Humphreys was always that guy that I would pick up when like I had an injury and I needed somebody to start. I was like, let me just slide Adam Humphreys in there because nobody knew who he was. And I watched a few games. I was like, man, this kid he's got to be like 6'2", 6'3", and he's not. He's one of those wide receivers that plays a lot taller than he is. I know that sounds really stupid, but Humphreys is a great player out of the slot.
Mm-hmm.
But in that Tennessee offense, his numbers are just going to be compromised because they are just not good at passing the football.
Yeah.
And Mariota's about to get a lot more time though with Taylor Lewan there. Now, from Buffalo's side, Josh Allen has been limited the last 2 days. He's in the final stages of concussion protocol. The Bills do not have the ability to hide whether he clears concussion protocol or not. That is not their decision whether he clears concussion protocol or not. So if Allen clears concussion protocol tomorrow, that's because he passed all the testing, and the Bills can't hide the fact that he cleared protocol, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
not a let's leave him as a limited participant for the next couple days. The Bills have no say in the pace of the concussion protocol. Is it possible he's cleared in time to play? Sure is, but the Bills have made a roster move today, so that could be for a couple different reasons, but one of them is definitely the health of Josh Allen. So, can the Bills beat Tennessee with Matt Barkley? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it depends on if Devin Singletary's there.
That's so if you're talking about the Buffalo Bills going into this game, you have different scenarios. Obviously, well, it's going to be interesting because I think we may have a 50-50 split with hashtag Nation here. If you had to go into this game with the combination of Singletary and Barkley or Allen and Gore and Yeldon,
Mhm.
which combination would you pick? Because we've already seen one. We've already seen one. But then again, that was against the toughest defense statistically in the NFL. But then you go to Tennessee, which the defense you're going to see is going to be eerily similar. It's going to be very similar to what, because the Patriots put a blueprint out there, and Vrabel is like a spawn of that. So you're going to see a similar type defense. I think we mentioned it last year when the Buffalo Bills they played the New England Patriots, and then they played the Detroit. They played the Detroit Lions like right the next week or something like that. So it wasn't. They played Patriots light. So it was.
Right.
You're going to see a lot of the similar concepts. So maybe if Allen does play in this game, if he clears and he is the starter and he's going to play, that's one of those things where you could say, listen, now this is a chance for you to make up for your mistakes from last week. We want to see this, and this because that tells us progression. If Barkley plays and then you still don't have Singletary, I mean, they're putting themselves in a hole with that. I mean, do I trust Barkley as a backup? Well, your backup's supposed to get you to a 500 record. That's all you expect from a backup if your starter happens to go down. That's really all you expect. He couldn't pull it out last week. If you want to count that loss, that Barkley wasn't able to lead him back, okay, Tennessee's a very winnable game for Barkley. I don't think I don't like Bill's chances better with Barkley than I do with Allen. It's just that's one of the things that they're going to have to do. But when you have this defense, all you got to do is just not make mistakes on offense. Just move the ball, get 17 points, and you go home.
So let me ask you this, right? We know that the NFL is riddled with tendencies, right? So teams really pay attention to your last 2 to 3 games that you played, right? That's really where they spend a lot of time studying. So if Allen doesn't play, that means you have Matt Barkley, who's got 3 series under his belt this season. So there are times where having another quarterback with a different style of play coming in under center can be an advantage for a team. So going from a player like Allen to a player like Barkley, does that give the Bills a slight advantage because Tennessee doesn't have film on him?
It could be an advantage and a disadvantage as well. I mean, all right, there's no film on Barkley. Okay, that's fine. I'm sure they could dig up some film of him in the past. You basically, the film on him in the fourth quarter is one of those things you need. That's what they're going to look at the most because we talked about it last week. Is that what happens with the offense when you have a backup in? Is that it's scaled down. It's scaled down because what you're running is plays that only this backup will run because he doesn't run all the ones leading up to the game that week. It's especially with a young quarterback like Allen, he's running all the ones plays and then the special plays that they have and everything else, whatever packages that they run. Barkley's not running all that. He just has basic knowledge of the offense and the plays that they most commonly run. So that being said, Vrabel and the Titans have all of that on film. They have all of that on film. And you don't have to cover every inch of the field against Barkley. So it shortens everything up. It's almost like playing in the red zone. Can Barkley throw the ball down the field? Yeah, he can throw the ball on the field. Does he have a 70-yard flick of the wrist? No. But it just condenses everything that happens in the game. And it's going to make a lot of those windows a little tighter. It's going to make a lot of those things that you don't have to worry about Barkley's legs like you do with Allen, so you can play a lot more man coverage behind it and rush a few extra guys if you want, that definitely changes the game plan against the Buffalo Bills. So
sure does.
We had a question from Daniel Gars. I'm the one that answered that, Daniel, but Paul didn't answer that. Who do you think's better, Barkley or Mariota? It's interesting you have to think about it though. It's not the guy's a starter, blah blah blah, second overall pick.
Yeah, I know, right? The other one's like a third rounder. Did Barkley go in the third? I feel like he might have, maybe a fourth. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a homer here and say Barkley. I really don't think Mariota is very good. I really don't.
No, he's just playing efficient. He's really playing efficient right now. If he throws 3 picks, they're 1-3. They're 1-3.
It's close, dude. It's close. I can't.
You play Atlanta's defense, you play the Jacksonville defense, you play the Indianapolis defense, you play the Browns defense, and they torched the Browns opening weekend.
So the one thing that I will say, going back on the previous on your previous comment, was let's not forget that Barkley's taking all the snaps in practice this week.
He is. That's a big deal.
So it's not like Allen went down, right? Like he went down in the Pats game, and then Barkley has to come in. And you're right, there would be a limited playbook. Barkley's no slouch in that respect. He'll be up to speed. they're not going to have to take much off the table, but expect to see those easy plays. You might see, a couple jets. You might see a wildcat. We saw John Brown throw a ball downfield. Could see anything. If they're concerned about Barkley not being able to get all the plays and kind of beyond there. So I do want to get over to the chat. You were right. There are a couple things that we should get to. Jonathan Turner says the Bills will win. Why? Because the Bills have won the last 3 of 4. Plus, our run game is far better, and their defense can't keep up with ours. The Bills' defense scores at least once. Dallas Howard. Dallas Howard. Should we be concerned with how Allen played? Really hope it turns out to be our franchise QB, but sometimes I'm not so sure. Big arm, but no deep balls. That's what she said.
Giggity.
Yeah. So again, with the Allen deep passes thing, when the Patriots play man coverage, they just wanted Allen to have to buy time because they knew he was going to keep trying to go deep. And as soon as Barkley came in, everything underneath that had been open most of the day, he wasn't going to miss.
No.
Right. No. And I don't think Tennessee's going to make that mistake. The Barkley you saw in the fourth quarter, it's going to be a totally different game plan. I think they're kind of anticipating anticipating Allen being healthy because he's been a limited participant the last couple of days. But there's a big change in quarterback style from Allen to Barkley. So kind of funky.
Well, that's a great thing that the Buffalo Bills are doing this week that is very under the radar, I believe. I mean, you're talking about Allen is practicing. He's listed as limited. We talked about the Patriots throwing that around. Limited. This guy's limited. He's practicing. You couldn't get two bigger styles that are different from each other than Barkley and Allen. So that being said, you're doubling up what the Tennessee Titans defense is going to have to do and what they're going to have to game plan for. So in that respect, I like it. But should we break from Tennessee just for a brief moment to talk about, because I've seen Diggs' name way too much and I know I didn't want to talk about it, but it's coming up quite a bit up in the chat. On the surface, Diggs, Beasley, and Brown looks pretty damn sexy. Not gonna lie. However, what's it gonna cost to get him here? Does he want to be here? How would it gel with? Because the offense is still young. You're still putting guys together with this offense. Is he a fourth wideout like Robert Foster? Would he take Brown's place? What is his role in this offense? Because if you talk about what the offense has done so far in 4 weeks, what would his role be? He's an excellent player. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's awesome. Where does he fit in this offense?
Well, let's pump the brakes real quick and talk dollars and cents real fast, right? So, from a contract standpoint, right, you're not really worried about this year. They got salary space for him, so it's not that big a deal. His base salary is 8.9. Obviously, you prorate how many weeks he's played off of that. So if he got traded tomorrow, he'd be about $7 million, right? Long story short, $7 million is what he would cost the Bills. Okay, fine. Next season, his base salary would be 10.9. The following 3 seasons would be 11.4 million. So he's 26 right now, and he signed through 2023 when he's 30.
It's a spot you got to worry about.
You can cut him at any time because you trade for him, which I think is the nice thing here. Because you don't really have Brown for very long. You don't have Beasley for very long. This Diggs deal would outlast both of those. But Diggs is also a guy you can cut at any time because you don't owe him any money. You don't have any signing bonus money attached to him. There is a per game roster bonus and a workout bonus that could impact you a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that his base salary is his base salary. There's no salary cap penalty to cut him after you trade for him. But do the Bills really want to bring in a disgruntled player, right? We talk about Trent Williams. He's a disgruntled player. Melvin Gordon, he's a disgruntled player. Stefon Diggs, he's a disgruntled player. They tried to bring in Antonio Brown, and I'm glad that circus of crazy didn't end up in Buffalo. So you have to question, I know that the offense seems sputtering right now, but is a wideout really your best solution? Like, is it really the wideouts that are the problem? Because I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's you talk about a guy that's going to make $10 million next year. This year, currently, Poyer and Hyde are making 10 combined,
Right.
and they're statistically your favorite website, PFF, has them rated as the top safety tandem in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yep.
from a statistics standpoint.
Yep. But I mean, you take a 4th-round pick and Robert Foster, and you send it to Minnesota, and Stefon Diggs is probably yours.
Did you just have a hockey accent when you said Minnesota?
Minnesota.
It's like a commercial on YouTube that always comes up. This is me after a week in Minnesota.
John Schuler says you'd be disgruntled too if a man named Kirk Cousins was throwing to you. Yeah,
It's pretty
there's
funny,
no doubt
John.
about
John,
that. And I had a thought about this, and I want your opinion, Mario. So Kirk Cousins and Matt Barkley.
oh boy,
Isn't Kirk Cousins just Matt Barkley with more opportunity, right? Like realistically, Matt Barkley has never really landed in a place where he's had a ton of opportunity to play. Kirk Cousins was brought in with RG3 in the same draft. RG3 obviously goes down, so Cousins ends up starting. Not even Washington wanted him, right? So they
yeah,
kept playing the contract and franchise tag game with him.
yeah.
Minnesota was foolish enough to sign him to the deal that they did. But is it when you look at the two of them, you talk about their strengths and their weaknesses, don't they seem a little similar? And isn't Matt Barkley really just Kirk Cousins, just with less opportunity?
Well, first of all, I think the most poignant thing you need to bring up is that I've never seen either of them in the same room, so that's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Batman and Bruce Wayne.
I doubt that they are one and the same.
Well, it seems like the way you laid the table out for me and talking about both of them is they are one and the same. They're the similar skill set, similar things that they have. It's just a guy that's been given a lot more opportunity and a lot more chances to show what he has. Um, in Barkley, he had a little bit of a. I mean, you're talking about Cousins being a third round pick. He was there because, Shanahan wanted him, and then he wasn't really in on RG3, but Snyder was the guy pulling the trigger there and all this other stuff, which is a common theme that happens every year. Snyder just blowing up his team. Um,
That guy's a
so,
mess.
yeah, I mean, I like Cousins. I think he's an efficient quarterback. To Cousins. If Allen's out, what's his incentive to come here? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So, I mean, do they have similar traits? Yes, they do have similar traits. I do believe that Cousins has been given ample opportunity to be a starter in this league and everything that he does. I don't think he has a very, strong arm. I think his IQ is he plays for a defensive head coach that likes to run the ball. Where have we seen that? So, yeah, I don't. I'd have to. I'll agree with you, Paul. You Scarlet Witched me. I think they're pretty much comparable in a lot of ways.
So I do want to point out that in the chat, it's been called out twice that Cousins was a 4th-round pick. He was 102nd overall. I, for some reason, thought I did the math and I thought it was 3rd round. I knew it was the 102nd pick. Thought it was 3rd round. Compensatories did not apply when he was drafted, so he was a 4th-round pick. Stat correction. Thank you, Steely fan, and go figure, Daniel.
I'm deleting this channel. I'm just not. I'm so wrong all the time.
We're so inaccurate.
I know. Why do you guys even watch anymore? It's so funny. But yeah, I mean that. See, let me just wait 1 second, Paul, before you get to your point. That is why you guys are awesome, because anyone else that would come into a chat if we got something wrong would butcher us. You guys just give us the information. Like, hey, you guys are wrong. All right, awesome. Thank you, appreciate it. That's why you guys are the best. So that's my hat's off to you. It's fun to correct you. All right, Daniel, that's enough. Pump your brakes. I'm already beaten. You don't have to kick me while I'm down.
So I do want to get back over to the Tennessee game and kind of, how all this is playing out. So if you take a look at their Tennessee's injury report for the week, really not a whole lot on there. Kenny Vaccaro was a limited participant Wednesday. He was a full go Thursday. The only person that really hasn't practiced was Cameron Wake. with a hamstring. He was DNP both Wednesday, did not participate both Wednesday and Thursday. Um, and Delaney Walker was a full participant today with a knee. That's really about the size of their injury report of guys of any consequence. The Bills, on the other hand, have a laundry list of players. Just for starters, Patrick DeMarco did not participate with a concussion and a limited participant on Thursday. As I said, that's why I thought that roster move might be less about Allen and more about the running back position, because without DeMarco, they'd only have two running backs. So it again, he's going through concussion, he's going through protocol as well. He was a limited participant, so eh, they're not going to go with only Gore and Yeldon. That's that. There's no way in hell that's going to happen. Tyler Croft was again a did not participate. Dean Marlowe was a limited participant with a concussion yet again. They have a bunch of safety depth on the roster already, so that's not really a big deal. Ty Nsekhe did not participate with an ankle both days, so that's a big deal. Obviously, I'd mentioned Devin Singletary was limited. Corey Thompson was again an ankle, did not participate both days. And Frank Gore had a day of rest. So even though you might see Frank Gore was off on Thursday, it was just a veteran rest day, so it wasn't anything more than that. There's
Yeah.
more on here, but those are the
Those are the
main
big dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just went toe to toe with the the defending champions. I mean, you're gonna have some things that happen there, and I really think this is a manifestation of the Giants game where Nsekhe he got rolled up by Feliciano in that game. I really think that he hasn't been 100% since. No one's really 100% anyway. But the point being is this: I think he had it rolled up on Feliciano in the Giants game where he went down for a couple plays, and then we said it on the stream on Tuesday. He wasn't himself against the Patriots. He was a little he was out there a little gingerly, so that probably could be something that's going to be a nagging injury for him, um, as the season wears on. So, oh God, can you not roast me while I'm watching the chat right now? That'd
What?
be great.
I'm sorry. It is just a knee jerk reaction. I can't help myself. I did exclude. Evan Anderson asked about Teron Johnson. He was a limited participant both days with a hamstring.
Okay.
Teron Johnson in this game, and who brought it up? I'll have to look real fast to see who brought it up. It was begins with an S. Give me 2 seconds. Somebody brought this up, and I am blanking out on the handle of who did it. It wasn't Smiley716. It was, oh my goodness. Oh, Jesus. You'd think I'd remember that one. Jesus had mentioned that if you're going to see a heavy dose of Derrick Henry, you're probably going to see Sierra Neal more.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's a very valid point. So Teron Johnson, again, being a limited participant, not super worried. This is, again, an opportunity for them to maybe just have him limp into the bye, pun completely intended. Kind of have him limp into the bye week. He's a limited participant both days. He could go, from the sounds of it. But if you're going to see primarily Derrick Henry, and that's going to be the game plan, Teron Johnson doesn't really help you in that regard. We saw what that looked like against the Jets, and it was rough.
If you're going against this offense that seemingly has a lot of weapons, if they go four wide with Henry in the backfield, what are you playing against it? You just playing straight nickel?
Yeah.
And if you're playing nickel, who's your nickel back? Because Sierra Neal, we know Johnson and Kevin and Teron, they cover a little bit better than Sierra Neal, who has been covering pretty well. Like the guy's been playing lights out when asked to cover, those short routes and those intermediate routes and everything. But you want him in there for the run. So if you have that four wide set, I'm actually not. It's a three wide set because I'm counting Walker. I'm sorry. So if you have a three wide set, you got Brown, Humphreys, and Davis along with Walker, and then maniacs in the backfield. What do you run straight nickel? And if you run straight nickel, do you have Lorenzo Alexander as one of your tackles?
Mm-hmm.
So do you run just the base with the four defensive, like the actual defensive tackle, or do you put Zoe in there? It's tough. It's gonna be tough because if you look at the Patriots real quick. You look at the Patriots. They had Gordon and they had um, Edelman. Who was their third wideout?
Who cares?
Because they didn't throw them anyway. But and I'm not saying that the I'm just saying that there's a little bit more talent going on across the board that you're gonna have to cover and you have to account for.
Well, there are calls for your man crush. We were asked by John Schuller, how did Kyle Petco perform against the Patriots?
He filled Phillips's role. He definitely filled Phillips's role as far as from a snap count perspective. He did. I'm not taking the bait, Paul. That's low hanging fruit. Not doing it. He's not my guy. I just thought he's a guy that could hang on to because he performed pretty well. That's all I'm saying. And I happened to glance up and see Dean Marlowe too.
It was Philip Dorsett is who the third wide receiver was in New England. I was joking when I said,
Oh, Dorsett. Yeah, I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I forgot Dorsett. I may have to retract my previous statement about the Titans wideouts. But you don't have Brady throwing them the ball. You got Mariota. So once again, the conversation comes full circle with Mariota. You're not worried. You're not really worried. Has he been taking care of the ball? Yes. Guy was sacked 17 times this year. Hasn't fumbled it. Throws the ball away.
Yeah.
Lawan's coming back. All right, so the sacks are going to be down a little bit. You'd think sacks are going to be down a little bit. Do they blitz the other side of the line? Well, Conklin's been playing well, and they got Roger Saffold playing next to Lawan. I don't think anything's going through that side of the line. Honestly, I really don't.
Bill's Mafia Man 55 says Mariota has 0 picks. Well, that's because they don't believe in forward passes in Tennessee.
Or helmets. That's how old. So, it's so funny.
I was referring to the Music City Miracle, but you go ahead with that.
How dare you? Why'd you bring up wide right while you're at it? Like, Jesus.
Oh, come on now.
What is
come
wrong
on
with
now.
you? They could definitely go 4-1 going into the bye. Jonathan Turner comes in. Shiva's goal, it says Petco's a little small for a DT. Well, it's interesting too. You're playing Lorenzo Alexander there sometimes in rush packages. So if they rotate him in, it could be one of those scenarios where Lorenzo plays a little bit more now, especially in this game. I think they're going to try to target. I think Mariota will have some audibles there where they're going to try to target that side of the line. If he happens to be in, don't be surprised if there's a draw or off tackle to Henry where Zoe is. You know what I mean? But the benefit that Zoe has is he's playing on the line he's not playing on the line the side where Saffold and Lawan are. He's playing on Conklin's side. So that's definite something to look at when it comes to.
I do want to say about Petco, just to back the truck up a little bit. He was a little sticky inside. I don't know. He just didn't look like he was getting off. He didn't look like he was getting away from the guards very cleanly. He just looked a little sticky. Now, mind you, the Patriots have the best offensive line coach in the history of the NFL. But that notwithstanding, I thought Petco, he didn't stick out, but there were some interior runs where he just looked like he wasn't getting off the block right. Guys have played.
Yeah, Nah. It's funny. Evan Anderson says I should be at the Thanksgiving game against the boys. It will be a nice break from Hawaii. What?
Yeah.
I can't wait to get out of Hawaii and go to Dallas. Yeah.
Woo.
Okay. Yeah. I can't wait to travel to Delaware next week. That's great. No. If you're from Delaware, let me apologize to you right now. That's great.
Rolando Mesa says all we got to do is worry about our offense. The defense will handle their business.
I hope so. I hope it's not that the Titans are going to do anything outlandish to try to surprise you. Will they have some trick plays up their sleeve? Well, they better do something different than they've been doing the first 4 weeks. They're going to go 2-3. Is this a very winnable game for the Bills? Yes, we've talked about that before. They could go 4-1 into the bye. As bad as Allen has played, he's very, with the exception of the turnovers and the touchdowns. Okay, you take the turnovers and the touchdowns off the board. He's very similar to what Mariota's doing. It's very similar.
Yeah. I agree there. We just got asked, and my mind's in a slightly different place.
Go ahead.
B. Henley one just says, do you worry about Mariota being able to extend plays? Not against the secondary in this linebacker group. I don't worry about that at all.
No.
And that's not really Mariota's game either. Like he, you look at it, he has 0 interceptions this year. That's a fact, right? He's not throwing the ball in harm's way, but he's also not throwing deep passes, and him extending plays with his legs. I mean, yeah, you can look at that as an ability if you want, but he's not completing passes when he's running, when he's getting outside the pocket.
No.
It's not
No.
happening.
The, the,
And not against this defense. I'm just not worried about that.
no, and the thing that Mariota's been doing all year is he's going one read, two read, no check down. They're not playing man. I'm throwing it out. I'm throwing it away. And the times where they are playing man and he tries to run out of the pocket, because that's what a quarterback will see. They'll come up to the line, they'll try to diagnose if it's zone or man, and then they'll try to see what the best possible outcome would be given that coverage. So if he comes up to the line, he notices it's zone. All right, drops back, first read not there, second read not there. I can't run, they're in zone. They're going to collapse on me, and my check down got covered. Oh, I'm sacked. Or, oh, I threw it the 15th row. He comes up to the line, again, they're in man. All right, I'll have the option to run if I need to. And he has ran a few times this year. So he's dropped back. Okay, no one's open. Do I have a chance to run? Let me try to find the cracks here. And his 17 sacks, and he's run the ball, a few times this year. So he does offer a new element to the offense that you haven't seen yet with his ability to move. But I just think, personally, I would say that the presence of Taylor Lewan is much bigger than Mariota running the ball.
Yeah,
I think having that monster over there negates a lot of times that he may have to run the ball. I'm just saying. I know it's one lineman. We're only talking about one guy, but we talk about how one guy on the left side for the Buffalo Bills hurts you. So it's gonna be an interesting game. I don't think it's gonna be a 30-0 game by the Bills. Do I think Mariota's gonna turn the ball over? Yeah, I think he will. I mean, nothing lasts forever. This defense is the best one that he's seen. It's going to be flying around all over the place, and he's going to try to. I don't think Mariota is the guy that can exploit matchups where okay, all right, I got Humphreys on Milano. Let me throw it to him. I don't think he's going to diagnose it that quick because the Bills disguise stuff pretty well. Oh boy.
So I want to ask your opinion on something. The first 2 games versus the 2 most recent games. Okay. The first 2 games we saw what looked to be a relatively comfortable Josh Allen. He was taking underneath routes. Okay. Like he was forcing the ball into some situations. However, he was more apt to look, outlet, outlet, right? So you could tell the plays were very rehearsed in that respect. He was very comfortable against the coverages that he saw, and you could tell that those were plays that he was ultimately very comfortable in. And he tried to color outside the lines a little bit and got punished for it, right? The 2 most recent games, right? It has been a very different story. Like if you showed me the 2 most recent games and didn't tell me when they were played, you could actually convince me that they were from his rookie season.
Yeah,
you really could,
for different reasons, though. Completely different reasons.
Right. Okay, so talk to me about that.
Well, no, I think he went into the. And you look at what happened, what preceded it. You talk about he was a comfortable Josh Allen the first couple games. It seemed like a lot of things were coming very natural to him. Things were going and things were clicking. Even though he had those turnovers, he was like, I'm not going to worry about this, not going to worry about that. That could have been a precedent that was set that was, for a young quarterback, a wrong one to have. Like, I could turn the ball over, we're fine. Let me try. Let me take this shot. Let me take that shot. Let me see. And I think in the third game, he saw more pressure than he's seen in the first 2, which you get him off his spot. He likes to throw off his back foot. He thinks he can make every throw. I understand that. I think the attitude that he probably, and I'm just guessing here. I'm just saying this. But you're going against the Bengals and you go against the Patriots. 2 teams that are going in completely opposite directions. So his mindset going into the Bengals game could have been like, okay, we got this. I can take a few shots. I can work on my fundamentals. Wait, they're in my kitchen. I can't just sit back here and pat the ball twice and throw it and go through my reads like I want to. I think the lack of pressure he put on himself in the Bengals game, it almost quadrupled for the Patriots game. Now it's a completely different animal. Oh, well, yeah, I have to make every throw. I have to make every read. I have to do this, this, and this. In last game, I was running all around, and it was the Bengals. What is the number one defense in the league going to do to me? I'm not sure if that was going on in his head. He put too much pressure on himself. Everyone knows. Everyone's seen the pictures of him wearing a Brady jersey when he was younger. It could have been he could have been in the moment. Those first two passes he threw him 175 miles per hour, and we understand that. I just think he put too much pressure on himself, and then and I'll use a reference for you, Paul, and you'll enjoy this because you have the jersey. He felt like he was in quicksand.
Yep.
With Shane Falco.
Falco.
Yeah. He tried so hard to dig himself out to make every throw after he made some mistakes that he ended up just sinking deeper and deeper into the pocket. And and Dable yelling at him, I don't think that's the way to motivate Allen. I really don't. I mean, there's some guys you got to pat on the back, some guys you can yell at and get on. I don't think Allen's that guy, especially when you have some things you need to clean up yourself as long as the play calling. You know what I mean? So, that'd be like me in math class yelling at a kid for saying 2 + 2 was 4. You know what I mean? Or no, kid saying 2 + 2 was 5, and I'm yelling at him, telling him it was 6. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense for me to. Are you kidding me? You said 5. But then that being said, there's things that have to be cleaned up, and I don't lose my mind too much on this topic because I know how young this team is. So young. There's so many moving parts. There's so many new moving parts. This defense has played together for 19 games now. Or 20 games. 20 games, right? This defense has played together for 20 games. This offense has played together for 4, and there's still patchwork stuff in there. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not. Yeah. So I hope I gave you that. I hope I gave you a pretty good break. I mean, does it make sense that would be his mindset going against the Bengals versus the Patriots? It would be vastly different.
I mean, I would imagine so. From a mental preparation standpoint, I have to imagine it to be different, right? I really do. I have to imagine it to be different. But I mean, let's also call this for what it is. Allen's walking into. There's still a lot of stadiums that he has yet to play in. I think there's something for getting a routine when you're on the road, right? And he's got some learning to do. There's still plenty of stadiums that he needs to play in, and I think that can play games with you, as you're still learning how to be a professional. It's not from a lack of effort. I will say that about Josh Allen. There's one thing you don't have to worry about. It's his effort level. There's no doubt that he is trying as hard as he can at all times. And sometimes that's the problem. The truth, sometimes that is the problem.
He wants to make every play.
Yeah. Yep.
Honestly,
if you go back to the beginning of the season, Mar, and you said, okay, listen, you're going to walk into the bye at 4-1, and guess what? You only lost to the Patriots by, what did we lose by 6 points?
6 points.
Yeah, the one loss to the Patriots, you only lost to them by 6 points. Are you a happy Bills fan? 75% of Bills fans would have been like, oh yeah, only lost to the Pats by 6. I mean, I wish we would have won that game, but yeah, okay, let's go.
Yeah, but the expectation, of any Bills fan, including ourselves, the bar always gets raised every game you win. So it's like you could have had this, could have had that. If you would have told me that the Bills at the bye, if they beat Tennessee, I'm not going to go get ahead of myself. If they beat Tennessee, they're going into the bye 4-1, and their offense looked putrid. Mm-hmm. I would be like, half of me would want to call you nuts. The other half would be like, well, yeah, we knew this defense would be solid the first 6 weeks.
Right.
Which you said many a times. Hit the button. Hit the button, monkey. Go ahead. Right. Again.
Right.
Yes.
Again.
Run up to center.
Jonathan Turner said something about Allen. Said Allen was facing the best defense in the league going up against the Patriots. I think he's referring to. But the truth is, he faces one of the best defenses in the league in practice. But the truth of the matter is, the way the Patriots play defense and the way the Bills play defense are two schematically polar opposites.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So even though you could say, well, Bills are 1A, 1B with the Patriots as far as defense, even if you proclaim the Patriots to be the best defense in the league this year and the
Yeah.
Bills to be second or vice versa, schematically they're totally different animals.
Absolutely. Yes.
So if saying that he practices against the best defense, I don't think that was his point. But I'm just saying, if you hear people saying, well, he goes up against one of the best defenses in the league every week, sure. If every opponent is a 4-man front that likes to run zones on the outside, then sure, yeah, then he's going to be just fine. And maybe that's what those first two games was schematically. It was a matchup he was very comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the school of thought that Bill Belichick comes from and the school of thought that Leslie Frazier comes from. They are two different schools of thought. I think the biggest thing about the defense that having played 20 games together is, and not many people are going to like this, is that the talent will out trump the coaching sometimes. So there will be probably things that switch up in the game that the defensive coordinator or whoever is in the game, they didn't account for. And so Hyde, Poyer, and all those guys, Hyde, Poyer, Wallace, White prior to last game because he came out for a couple plays, Milano and Edmonds, they played together 100% of the snaps. So if there's an adjustment they have to make on the fly that wasn't called initially, where they see an opening that may be an opening in that defense, they're able to cover it up and they're able to do something amazing. Hyde is great with that. He's great at communicating to Poyer, and they're great all around. The offense does not have that. They don't have that bag of tricks to go in be like, oh well, he called these two plays. He called this run play and this pass play for this, and neither one of them are going to work. Let me burn a timeout in the third quarter. He comes to the line again. This is not going to work. It's not going to work. Oh, I'll see if this guy may be open. And he holds the ball forever, and he gets sacked, or he tries to do hero ball. They don't have that reservoir of plays and experience to rely on. And
Right.
That's the biggest difference I see between this offense and this defense.
Yeah, I totally agree. In the chat, we do have we do have the opponent has entered the building. It's
Tennessee Titans Weekly. Hey, buddy.
They've entered the building. So I saw somebody had just mentioned that the Titans have to get rid of Mariota in the chat, and I struggled to disagree with that, right? Because the Titans are in a funky situation with the quarterback position, because if you look at it, right, you've got Mariota, and you know who the backup quarterback is in Tennessee, I don't know if you know this. Do you know who the backup is in Tennessee?
I do not. Please tell me.
Tannehill.
Who?
Yeah, Tannehill. So they didn't really do a whole lot to address the quarterback position, and I think Mariota is actually entering the last year of his deal.
Yeah.
So if I'm Tennessee, right, they're in a very Tyrod Taylor scenario, right?
Oh boy.
Tennessee think about it, right? If Tennessee pulls it together, right, and let's say they end up in a wild card spot, right? They make the playoffs. Changing quarterbacks is not what the fan base is going to accept, right? They're not going to accept changing quarterbacks. We know what that looks like, right? If anybody understands getting to the playoffs and changing quarterbacks looks like, it's the Buffalo Bills, and it was not well accepted at all. It was not well accepted. And I don't know if Tennessee can hit the reset button like that. You look at the makeup of the team. I don't think they have the ability to hit the reset button on Mariota if they end up making the playoffs. Now, if they miss the playoffs, the window is closing quickly, right? If they make the playoffs, you kind of have to keep things on life support a little bit. But if they miss the playoffs, then you have an excuse to kind of revisit the quarterback position. But man, can you imagine what would happen in Tennessee if they make the playoffs and they don't re-sign Mariota? If they re-sign him, you almost have to assume like he's going to be offered, a 2-year deal. Yeah, it's going to be tough, man.
Yeah, I was just looking really quick. You know how I like to do connections in the NFL, and I was checking out the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, Arthur Smith. No connection to Tannehill, so maybe they just went and got a guy that was a previous starter because they didn't know how mobile Mariota probably would be, and Not that they say he's immobile, but if he was going to run around all the time, I mean, we were going to see when you take off out of the pocket, there's always a chance you're not going to get up after whatever hit that you get. So
Right.
having a starter that in the league is a huge thing. So
Sure.
as far as Mariota's contract though, I don't think he's going to garner because I don't think he's going to garner a lot of money because of Vrabel and the infrastructure that they have there. That's not how they win games. You don't win multiple titles. I mean, if you want to take the Patriots blueprint, Brady was never the highest paid guy in the league. He always delegated a lot of his money to
Oh,
other
no, no, no,
players.
no, no,
What?
no. Let's not go down the what Tom Brady makes rabbit hole, because I am promising you,
Oh,
I
I know.
promise you that the Patriots are going to pay him millions of dollars as a consultant for the rest of his life for all the money he's not making right now. You
Yeah.
know the Patriots are going to do it. We can't. I don't even want to talk about
No,
it.
no, I 100% agree with him. I'm talking about from a number standpoint. What was on paper, he was never the top paid quarterback in the league for a
Right.
reason because they wanted to delegate that money to other players to keep better players in the defense and offense on his team. What happens post his career, which you keep talking about with the soft money that Kraft's going to get caught up in? I 100% agree with you. They're going to give him a quote unquote consulting job and pay him $25 million. It's going to be stupid. Soft deal illegal. Yeah, it is. Shivas. It is. It is illegal.
I'm
Um,
sure that's not the first thing on Kraft that went soft. Da, da, da.
hello, demonetization.
Come on, we're not
No,
going
it's
to
not.
cover that.
Oh,
But there's
really?
one interesting. No
Tennessee
way.
Titans Weekly. No, Tennessee Titans Weekly comes in. He says, as a Titans fan, our biggest concern is Tre'Davious White. Ooh, him on Corey Davis. Talk to me.
Yeah, I like that matchup a lot, actually. So AJ Brown on Levi Wallace, I think, is really the one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Trey can handle the physical wide receiver.
Yeah.
You look at what he did with Josh Gordon last week, and Trey on Corey Davis, I think, is a matchup that you're very comfortable with if you're a Bills fan, right? The AJ Brown on Levi Wallace is the one that is the most curious to me.
Yeah.
Then you may see Tennessee take advantage of Buffalo playing Sierra Neal in the nickel packages, because you're going to depend on Adam Humphries to be lined up on Sierra Neal. That's easy money for Tennessee. Because you're selling out against the run if you've got Sierra Neal and nickel trying to stop that run package. So I would expect if you see Derrick Henry on the field and it's a 3-wide set, you'll see Sierra Neal on the field. If you don't see Derrick Henry on the field, then they'll slide in another nickel to cover up Humphries. Agree?
Yeah.
Disagree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they will. I think what they'll do is they'll do a combination of both. So they'll have Sierra Neal there to play the run, but they will put Zoe down in the defensive tackle spot for if in fact Mariota does want to go pass, and he's able to slice in there and get in there. Titans Weekly comes in again. He goes, what you all should fear is number 82 Delaney Walker. Is he in a Walker yet? Was he 30 something? No, I'm kidding. Point being is this: Walker is a heck of a talent, and he is a guy that can expose the middle of the field from the tight end position that I don't think you have even seen yet. I mean, Evan Ingram, but he was the only weapon for the
It
Giants.
wasn't hard to shut down Evan Ingram.
No,
They
it wasn't.
had no wide receivers when we played the Giants,
Yeah,
so
but,
that wasn't a big deal.
yeah, but when you have like 3, 4 guys, and they can't delegate all the resources to Evan Ingram or the
Right.
tight end position. Walker is a sneaky guy. He's a vet, so he's going to find the soft zones if you have them in your defense. The question is, can Mariota find him once he's in the zone?
Right.
That's the only thing. But
So if I'm offering if we're looking into the crystal ball,
yeah,
right? So quarterback position in Tennessee, I think even money, right? So if we're looking at everything being even, that Tennessee would rather sign Teddy Bridgewater because he's on the last year of his deal with the Saints. Because Breeze is going to come back from this injury and he's going to say, listen, I don't go out injured.
yeah.
Right. So you see the season as a lost season unless the Saints make the playoffs with Teddy Bridgewater. I think Tennessee would be like, okay, The easiest transition away from Mariota is Bridgewater. Bridgewater got the Saints to the playoffs. Let's buy us some of that. I think that's probably the fastest way to reset that franchise is somebody like Teddy Bridgewater, whom I'm not a major fan of. I'm not a big fan of Teddy Bridgewater. I'm just saying from a comparable standpoint, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be an available free agent next season unless the Saints re-sign him. But if he gets the Saints to the playoffs, I don't see a scenario where, unless they're promising him Drew Brees' job next year, that he resigns.
I I think you're still a little sour at the fact that reports came out early in Teddy Bridgewater's career that he was uploading the playbook to Madden so he can learn it faster.
Yeah.
You still haven't forgiven him for that. But
No.
Teddy Bridgewater is a wonderful talking piece for us because when we always talk at draft time about guys trading back into the first round to get a pick, that's what they did. The Vikings traded back in to the 32nd pick, and what did the Ravens do? They did the same thing with Lamar because you want to get a fifth year option. So that's something great. Titans comes in again. He says the Lewan versus Hughes. I cannot wait just to watch that the entire game. That massacre on the end of the line is going to be phenomenal. But getting to that, I know we got to try to wrap this up a little bit at the end. Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to wrap it up with the funny thing that I did on Twitter. Unless Paul, do you got something else you wanna
Nope,
throw? All right, so above my phone, if you want to give us a follow on Twitter, it's at HTAG Sports. If you're first time coming here or you came here before but you're not subscribed, right above Paul's phone is the subscribe button. Don't click it there, but click it down in the bottom right hand corner. The thing that I did on Twitter was right before the Patriots game, they had something that said things Tom Brady does. So I decided to tweet what irrational Bills fans say. I did the hashtag what irrational Bills fans say, and I got to tell you, Ryan Lasel from Rock Sports Net did not disappoint. He retweeted that tweet about 15 times with some of the funniest things. Our friend Spencer German, who covers the Browns now, he was talking about Rex Ryan just needed a little bit more time. Like, I want to ask Hashtag Nation before we get out of here tonight and leave them in the chat. What are some of your best? What would be some of your best hashtag comments by an irrational Bills fan? So something that an irrational Bills fan would say. Like, what were some of the Paul? What were some of the ones I went? Then I said, I tweeted out. I said Vlad Dukas was underrated. Like, was one of them.
God.
But it was so funny how far it went with everything. But I mean, I can look them up too. I mean, I know you got your phone right there. You're looking them up. I'll look them up as well. But it was so funny. Some of the tweets that got retweeted were hysterical.
Thank you for having a talking point and then not being prepared for it, Mario. I appreciate that.
I gave you 3 examples. What the heck do you want me to do? You want to read them all?
We run a real professional operation here.
You know that's not true. Shut up.
True story. Let's see.
Okay, I got one. Allen led with his helmet. What irrational Bills fans say.
Oh, God.
Zay Jones should be leading the team in targets.
My buddy Kevin Shelley said, I really miss Billy Joe Hobart.
We need Kroom.
Yeah. Clearly, that's what we're missing is Jason Kroom, right?
Oh, my God. I think we're just
Marone was building culture.
Marone was building culture. All right, so guys, listen, we're gonna head out of here. Throw your comments in the chat or in the comment section of what you think. I might even pin it to the top as well. What an irrational Bills fan would say, and we'll definitely do an episode on that to try to bring that in there as well. Bacterial culture. Joe Nelson, he brought a culture back. The Kroom one came from Pagula's daughter. Ooh. Garies, you're better than that, brother. Carlos Williams for quarterback. Just do Wildcat. All right, so, hey, we're going to take off. We're going to be here, not here, but exclusively on Sportscaster if you're watching us over there. 8 a.m. on Saturday to give you a preview of The Titans game, which gave you a little bit taste tonight. I know an hour and 14-minute taste that we gave you tonight, but that's what we're going to do. Joe from Believer Talk will be calling the game on Sunday, the Bills Titans game, so be sure for that. And Paul and I don't have any weekend obligations this week, so we're actually going to be in the car giving you guys content for next week. So always a good time seeing Paul in real time rather than this phone that's right next to me. So
yeah, I can't wait for you to order more pumpkin spice donuts. Ugh.
Is it really that unbelievable that I would defile myself for a joke? Your reaction to that was like 100%. You want to go drink some White Claws? I did that solely for that joke. So if I have to spend $2 for a joke out of you, I will spend $2 out for a joke out of you. That's fine.
I
Pumpkins.
cannot wait to give you your Christmas present. I'm so excited.
Did you already buy it?
Oh, it's not being bought, my friend. It is being manufactured. Don't you worry. Don't you worry about it.
I hate you with the passion of 1,000 suns right now.
Yeah.
Can't even
So
do it.
here's the deal. Bills fan 7883. The car is back. So kind of what ends up happening is when we have to call the play-by-play,
Below.
we can't do the car, right? It's just not possible because we just do the play-by-play, and then we do the post game afterwards is just not feasible for us to record in the car. So that's why you get episodes like this. But when we don't call play-by-play, this is what happens. So much better.
Yeah, it's a lot. Paul comes over at like noon, and we're done at like 6:45, 7 o'clock after all the said and done. And
yeah,
my family doesn't even spend that much time with me. That's why,
right.
because I'm so irritable. So that being said, Hashtag Nation, thank you so much again. We hope you enjoy the content. We're gonna keep pumping it out for you guys if you guys keep watching. And go Bills. Paul, hit the button.
The Bills make me wanna kick your heels up and shout.